I was out at I recently joined BNI, which is Business Networking International.
Yeah, that's all over the world.
Which is it is. It's a referral trading organization, and they have no secret handshakes, but they do charge you a lot to be part of it.
Yeah, they do.
Wait a minute, I feel kind of cheated now.
Hold on 1 second.
Wait, no, I'm going to join Masons International. Forget BNI. I'm going to be secret members. Anyway, so part of the process was that I had a strategy that I had gotten from an experienced BNI member, Mike Anderson of Minneapolis. Thank you, Mike. And he had given me a really great strategy to go and identify and find like the right chapter for me, the one that I'm going to be able to make the most out of.
Because there's like hundreds of chapters here in the Twin Cities.
There's tons of chapters, and just by the virtue of being a member doesn't mean automatically people are going to be like, they're throwing referrals at you.
Right.
That would be nice. It just doesn't work that way.
Which is what you want when you go in, but you're right, it doesn't
work
that
but
way.
You have to generate it. You have to create it, which gets into, it's also a great place to get trained to network.
So what was your strategy to choose?
Anyways, my strategy was I went to 4 different chapters, and I just kind of I had 2 one-on-ones with 2 people that I thought might be strategic referral traders to trade referrals with. Because again, you're likely to trade referrals with somebody who is also doing events or also in a similar line of business. You want to look for other people in that chapter that are in similar, not the same, but that speak to the same audience as you do.
Makes sense. That's why you would go to like a NACE meeting or an ISIS meeting.
Right. Yeah. So I meet this guy, and he is another coach, and I'm like, oh, how cool this is. This is terrific. And I said,
those of you who don't know, Jason is a coach. He's a life coach, business coach, creating amazingness coach.
Yeah. More info at thecoachinghour.com.
Absolutely.
Anyway, so I was like, oh, great. Oh, fun. Another coach. This is fun. And we were chatting away. And I said, who do you coach? He says, oh, I coach, performers, comedians, musicians, performing artists. I go, wow. I go, that's incredible. I said, I have a huge Rolodex of, I have like tons of people in that category that you're talking about. I said, we should have coffee, because I'm thinking I'm always thinking like, ooh, I want to help you. I mean, which is probably, it's one of the reasons I make a good coach is like, because I want to, that urge is always there. Right. But I don't want to push my help on somebody. I want to be available. So anyway, we exchanged a little bit and in emails to set something up. He even offered to let me know about a chapter that was looking for a coach, which was really useful and nice, and never followed up to have a meeting. And I wonder if he didn't hear that I said, I know, I have that I know like tons of people in the category of whom you want to coach.
Did you ever reach out back to him?
I did, yeah. I mean,
he never got back to you.
I made an effort, as much as I'm willing to make an effort, to be able to extend myself to connect with somebody, sort of thing. And he's like, oh yeah, I'm busy, and we'we'll connect next week or whatever. And then I never heard from him again, so I didn't pursue it, which really, really surprised me.
Wow, especially with both add me to it, and we could keep him really, really busy.
Yeah, right. Exactly. This is the Bill and Jason Show. I'm Jason. This is Bill.
Hi.
So I think after reflection, I think what was missing, and this really speaks to networking and just business in general when you're out and about, it's like, what do you listen for? Like, what are you listening for people to comment on, to say, to give you an opening to realize, oh my gosh, your cousin's looking for what I do.
Or back it up even.
Your family's looking for what I do.
Or back it up. Why are you there? What is networking to you? What are you, when you meet somebody face to face, either at a networking event or for coffee, why are you there? Are you there to hear, oh, I want you to hire me? Or are you waiting to hear, I would like you to, you know what I'm saying? I want to buy from you. Or what are you looking for? Why did you do it in the first place? I think that starts there. When you came to the meeting with, how can I help this guy? Not how can I get anything from this guy, but how can I help this guy?
Well, my first thought was, how can I help this guy?
Right.
But it's clear to me that he's not listening for people saying, I know somebody in your audience. I know, you know what I mean? Like really giving him the opening to be to have that business. So it's like,
So what do you think he was listening for?
I have no idea.
Maybe he thinks networking is sitting across from somebody and saying, "Hey, let me tell you how awesome I am, and I'm awesome, and this is great, and I do this and I do that, and I love to do this, and hey, nice to meet you, and I enjoyed the coffee, and I'll talk to you later."
Well, I have no idea what he's. I mean, I can only speculate. I have no idea.
Well, that's what we're doing here. Is
what
speculating.
he's listening for, not listening.
If you want,
for.
I'll get him on the phone.
But he did say something that was a bit of a clue to me. Is that he said, "Well, I was a member of a BNI for a year, but then I didn't rejoin because I never got any referrals. I gave out lots of referrals, but nobody gave me any referrals, kind of thing," which I thought was interesting. And then after his behavior, I thought, well, this kind of all makes sense. Like, he doesn't know it, but he like refuses to let other people contribute to him, which would include,
because you had a ton of referrals. You even said, "I have referrals."
I pretty much, yeah. I mean, I didn't say like, I want to give you lots of referrals because I want to know. I mean, these are people I know. I wouldn't say, "Hey, Bill, go talk to this guy," or, any of the other performers that I know. I wouldn't refer him unless I thought I was impressed with him. You know what I mean? Or
maybe it's maybe too. There are lots of people that their definition of what a referral is. A referral is, here's Dave's number, and you are going to call Dave, and you tell Dave I told you to call, and I know Dave will buy from you.
Well, that
and
sounds
for some
like
people, that's specifically what a referral is.
Well, and that's living in the world of everyone needs to make it easy for me, or I'm not going to do it. Like if you don't put the money on the ground in front of me to pick up, and even then people like stumble over it and keep walking. I mean, they still don't actually pick up on it. And one of the things about being an entrepreneur,
my daughter's in the house picking up stuff.
Well, that's a whole nother project. That's another story. But it's like being listening for like what it is that you provide and the difference you make in the world, and listening for people looking for that service, that experience, or making reference to it in conversation and things like that creates natural avenues for you. And the more you listen for it, the more you hear it. Kind of like when you go out and buy a new Jeep Renegade. There's tons of Renegades on the road. You suddenly see them everywhere, and they were invisible before, but like now you're aware, now you see them. Same thing as when you decide like what I'm listening for is, and they're not necessarily, and by saying listening for, like I'm listening for somebody that needs a DJ and uplighting and great music and a great time, sure. But
that's not what you're saying.
But that's not necessarily, no, because what you're listening for is how people relate to what you do, not the specifics of what you do. Nobody knows the specifics.
Or better yet, it's just let it be organic and just be listening. You came to the meeting to either get something or give something.
Or both.
I think it's best if you get there, if you show up to give something, because you end up giving, you will receive. That's just the way it works. If you give. If you what does Zig Ziglar say? If you want to have everything you want, then be sure that the other person has everything that they want.
Right.
I'm paraphrasing, I'm sure. But it really has to do with, did you show up there to be of service to that person, listening for what they are wanting, or were you there to tell them what you need so that they hear it? And now you're listening to see if they have, in fact, heard you. It's a different thing. And organically, if you can show up with, I'm there to help, then it's like your dad and your mom always said, you got two ears and one mouth, listen twice as much as you talk. Mm-hmm. And actually listen, as opposed to just, I hear you, but I didn't really listen to it.
Or listen enough so that it gives you an idea what to say next, and then you wait until someone else talks, which is perfectly human. There's nothing wrong with you if you do that. It's just that the more that you practice listening, the more you start realizing like things are said that you have no idea that people actually like customers just tell you what they want to buy. You don't have, there's no figuring it out. There's no mystery, because you're not up here in your head.
They'll sit there and tell you exactly what they want.
Let me see if I got you right. You just told me that you want this and this and this. It just may not be in the terminology that you're accustomed to.
Right.
Which
or
is,
that
again,
you hope for, or you think it should be.
Which again speaks to what are you listening for when you're out in the world, when you're out networking. And I think one of the best things actually that BNI really introduced, that it's making even more common just in the overall community, is the whole idea of having one-to-one meetings. Mm-hmm. And that's not a new idea by any means, but people like kind of being like, well, yeah, of course, this is what you do, without suspicion. Like, yeah, let's just get to know more people. Yeah. Let's, like you've heard, never have lunch alone. Go to coffee with somebody once a week, where you actually get to know them. Because just by the virtue of showing up to a BNI meeting, I'm here doing a little commercial. I provide this and this and this and this, and I'm really good at it. Sit down and then wait for all the chickens to come. Right. Like run this way. Here I am.
Yeah, those
you know,
networking meetings are more about, hey, how you doing? Nice to see you. See you next week.
yeah, it's a process of that. It's like it's developing those relationships with people and becoming known.
Right.
And the best way you can become known is to get to know a lot of people and be interested in what matters to them.
And that's not just BNI, that's any networking group.
Any
Anything
networking
you're
group.
going to do, any kind of networking you do, the networking at a big group is about introducing yourself and then taking the time, like you said, get to know each other so that now you can spread that love everywhere. Now, what kind of networking do you do? Have you been to meetings? Have you done BNI? What do you think of what we're talking about?
Yeah.
And were you even listening?
What's worked for you in the past? What hasn't worked for you? What could you share with everybody out there in terms of what really makes a difference when building relationships with other people in your community? Post it down below here on the YouTube page or put it on our Facebook page, The Bill and Jason Show. If you haven't liked it already, well, what are you waiting for?
Yeah, no kidding. We'll see you next
Get
week.
over there.
Broadcasting from high atop planet Earth at a rate of 96 kilobytes sample per second over the interweb in an effort to stop glorifying being busy. This has been an entertainment experience production.